Okay, I'll start talking now. We turn 5 past. Thank you and welcome. And Brian and I were just discussing before you all arrived that sometimes when there's not so many people, it's better. We can go deeper into stuff, into what we mean and what we think, and so on. And so that's one of the benefits of not having so many. Having said that, we'll probably have a flood of people arrive in the next few minutes, but there you go. Okay, this is the title of this session is Dear Extraterrestrial Beings, Are You Here to Assist Us or Exploit Us? And I realize it's a subject that can have a diverse um, responses to that. So, and I'm not particularly interested in anyone winning an argument or losing an argument or anything like that. It's my interest in this is to share our views and perhaps learn from each other. Hope so. Okay, so now Brian wanted to say something at the outset. Brian supports me in hosting this and has supported. I think this is the fourth one I've done in the Dear Extraterrestrial Beings series. So, Brian, there was something you wanted to say first, was there?
Yeah, I just want to mention that this meeting is with the Vancouver UFO Preparing for ET Contact, which is in a sense is an adjunct of University Galacticus, which is a bigger project. So I'm in the dean's den of University Galacticus. But I just want to spend a minute or two showing our website. It's been transformed in just the last 5 days. I have an artist I pay $45 for a thumbnail for on Vancouver Island named April Cotton. So she's done a great job. So this is the website. Our about page is 2 pages long. You can read that. It really very much explains my worldview in 2 pages. And all the 10 events currently on here, in a sense, for outsiders, it looks like 10 different events. But for insiders, like this group or the people watching the video, it's sort of one document. It's kind of a channeled document. I do channeling practice to this is a UFO mothership described in orbit, city size, described by Susie Hansen. She describes these lecture halls. So I do a bilocation practice into the lecture hall with the grays and the various beings there to get inspiration. So they, with the help of ChatGPT 5 Plus, have created this almost every word on this Vancouver UFO meetup group. So you're part of this meetup group right now. And Dave is an assistant organizer hosting today. So, and I'm co-hosting with Dave. So that's all I was going to say. So back to you, Dave.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Okay, are extraterrestrial beings here to assist us or exploit us? I realise there's all manner of arguments to be made about this. Yeah, really, for me, it comes down to experiences and yeah, the experiences and the intuitive understandings that I've had. I've also hosted some channeling sessions, which have also offered insight. And although I realise that information from channeling doesn't suit everybody, for me, being present in them and being aware of the kind of energy present in the room and the feelings and so on, they're quite convincing for me. So anyway, my understanding is that they are absolutely here to assist us. There's many instances where they kind of demonstrate this, in my experience, yet also demonstrate that they're not here to do it for us. Part of it being that they wish us to grow and learn how to do things for ourselves. Um, and at this point in the history of Earth, at this point, of what's happening within the universe, it seems that there's a lot of energetic, um, what's the word? Powerful energetic flowing flow that's occurring, um, that affects planet Earth, and it affects life forms on planet Earth. And it seems to me that it's up to us to either accept or open up to these energies, or to cling on to how we've understood life to be up till now. So that's a kind of clip of what I think. I did write some notes down just an hour or so ago, in case. Mm, yeah, so I've also wrote a note down about nuclear stuff, and of course, when I refer to extraterrestrial beings, there's a wide range of them, and yet my understanding is that the vast majority of that range are interested in humanity developing in a healthy manner. Um, as far as I can make out, developing in a healthy manner that's comes from within us, and uh, our ability to make the most out of who we are in changing energetic universe. Now, as regards nuclear weapons, I've said that I understand that they don't uh, wish to interfere, yet it seems that this is an exception. They are demonstrating themselves to be willing to interfere with this and to stop us blowing ourselves up. Um, is one motive, I understand. I know that Howard has his own insight and views into that. He'll get a chance to talk about this in a few minutes. Um, and one thing also is about the impact of a nuclear explosions throughout the universe. What does it mean there? There's other motives for it, and I'll leave Howard to talk about those. Uh, okay. Now, there are many stories in the history of planet Earth of beings coming here and exploiting um, the human population. I call it human loosely, to make them workers for us. So it does occur to me that, well, if that happened then, and they had their motives for exploiting humanity then, how do we know that their motives this time is any better or any different? I understand that it is better and different, and I can only go on my own experiences primarily. I'm aware of those stories where humanity was uh, kind of turned into a workforce for the benefits of extraterrestrial beings, and who were interested in resources that planet Earth held. Um, I don't understand that to be the case this time, yet these are my understandings, and I do base most of my understandings on experiences, either personal experiences or uh, experiences in channeling sessions where I've been able to ask particular questions. I've been fortunate enough to do that. Um, it's also, when I refer to those channeling sessions, it's also important to add, in my view, that the the feeling, the energy in the sessions are significant, they're important, and that is validation more than any other validations for me personally. But that's for me personally. It isn't necessarily the same for anyone else. So uh, I'll give it a break now, and I'll invite someone else. Let's see, who would like to speak on this subject? I'll start picking on people.
I can speak about it for just a second if no one else wants to.
Yeah, go ahead, please, Park.
Yeah, I think that like what's interesting that I've found is that just from my most vivid UFO encounter, when I tell people the story about it, they're so even when I tell them, like it was so like I can tell them the details of this triangle craft I saw and how it had like a light on each corner and it appeared right there in front of me. I mean, it was the most like, it was vivid. I remember exactly what I saw, and they still will try to explain it away, sort of as, oh, it's just maybe it was a drone or ball lightning, and they have all these explanations for I wasn't seeing straight. That's what it feels like to me. And so
How
I
long
think
ago was this, Parker?
the sorry, I think the nuclear hypothesis is very popular amongst most people that it's whatever ships we're seeing on Earth are, human made and our interference either from other governments or their um it seems like there's a mass denial of this possible spiritual qualities of these sightings and or possible interdimensional aspects of what's going on. And yeah, it kind of seems like people get shut up a bit. Like they get told that, like, it could have just been some interstellar, some atmospheric phenomenon. And there's this weird like counter gaslighting going on because they think that it's like we're gaslighting them. They think that we're trying to somehow manipulate them into believing our weird story. So I think that for people who have had these experiences, it's just very there's a very eerie and isolating quality to them, but there's something undeniably sublime about it as well and spiritual. So I don't really know where to go from there, but it's a strange mixture of emotions that are not easy to uh deal with. So maybe that's why people are so uncomfortable with it, is it has depth to it. I don't know.
Oh, you're muted, Dave, but I was going to ask, so what's your answer to the question? Do you think they're benevolent or malevolent? What's your feeling about that, Parker?
I mean, I've gone back and forth because I don't know. I've just gone back and forth because after my experience, I mean, I just have no way of knowing. I can completely understand why say, like a fundamentalist Christian thinks that they're a demonic force, or a New Age inclined person thinks that they're something beneficent. I think it's sublime, though. So it's awe-inspiring while also being terrifying. So I see both sides of it, but I also am aware that it's a double-edged sword, so to speak. There's always a catch. I don't think any being in the universe is completely altruistic. So I'm sort of in the middle, or don't know.
Okay, Parker. How long ago was it you had that experience?
Um, that was when I was that was when I was 19 or 20, living for the first time on my own.
Have you had any further experiences?
Something that, seemed like it could have been something, but I wasn't quite sure. It was in the same park in Fort Collins that I live near. It's called Lee Martinez Park. And that one was, just the most like cliche UFO experience you could imagine. Like it was Star Wars, but then like subsequent experiences have been I saw something in that park because that park has a real aura to it, and I'm attracted to it because I just always felt a strong connection to its energy.
Yeah.
And so I've seen some. you know, slight variance maybe of that, but nothing as strong as that.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting, being attracted to that particular place is, how come is one thing, something of some energetic quality there that resonates for you. And okay, yeah. All right then. I'll go around now if that's all right with you, Parker. Just see what other people have to say. You'll have a chance to say some more later on if you wish. All right. Okay. Who wants to speak next? Start picking on people.
Well, I could volunteer if there's nobody else.
Go on then.
Okay. Yeah, as for the question, yeah, I think the answer is both. I'll just briefly share screen my website. You can see that, right? On July 24th, I published my opus, most important thing I've published in 65 years, called An ET Hypothesis with Sources: How the Greys, Mantids, and the Federation of Planets Are Guiding Spiritual Evolution of Humanity. This is it here. It's about 15 pages long. So I researched this for at least 3,000 hours since 2006. So my conclusion, I'll start with the negative ETs. I think it's maybe 1 out of 6 species of reptilians. And Judy Carroll's an experiencer in Australia since 1983. She's seen the Greys, and she calls them reptarians. She says, Brian, in my video, she says, I don't think they're extraterrestrial. I think they're native to Earth, maybe since the time of the dinosaurs. Reptilians, they're Terrans, so technically they're not extraterrestrials. But for the purpose of this conversation, like Richard Dolan says, they're not part of our society. Whether you think they're spiritual, interdimensional, or they're not part of our society. So I think the reptilians, since about 1650, have dominated the city of London, and this is the world center of their reptilian power. They work through the international bankers since around the time of Napoleon, the Rothschild family, and they pretty much control planet Earth. They control media, government, medicine, corporations, right down to local gardening group in your community. They got spies, and they pretty much run planet Earth. So I think they're the lower ones. So I think the good aliens are the mantids. I think they brought life across at least this region of this galaxy, probably the whole galaxy. And they were at the inception of this planet 4.6 billion years ago. I think they brought life here, like the Cambrian explosion around 520 million years ago. Science can't explain where these larger animals and plants came from. I think the mantids brought them here, and the Greys are their emissaries. They're like technicians, worker bees for the mantids. And I think since about the year 1850, according to Susie Hansen, the author of this book, The Dual Soul Connection, she's my highest source of information, plus her 65 videos on the Susie Hansen YouTube channel. She thinks since about 1850, they've come back to the current project to change our society. And in 1848, we know it was the beginning of the spiritualist movement in the United States. So we had very rigid Christian thinking. And then the spiritualists became almost half the population of America got involved in spiritualists, table turning, talking to the dead. So I think what they're trying to do, according to Jeff Silver here in Vancouver, I did his first 20 hours of his videos. He says ETs are trying to, excuse my Tourette syndrome, I just have to breathe and count to 12 to stop it. He thinks the Greys are trying to break open our minds. So when he talks about the Greys, he means the mantids, and the Greys are the emissaries for the Greys. So generally we discuss the Greys. So when we discuss the Greys, we really mean the mantids, which are like praying mantis, 7 or 8 feet tall, like symmetral praying mantis. So they're trying to break open our minds. So anything like sex, drugs, rock and roll in the 60s with Laurel Canyon, Tavistock Industry, all this perhaps designed to break up our minds. So I think basically their intention is good. I think they're leading us. It might take another 1 or 2 centuries for this process, but I think their goal is to hybridize humanity. So Homo sapiens sapiens are combined with ETs, resulting in a type of human that will have quantum dimensional consciousness, conscious to higher dimensions. We'll have a telepathic society, more spiritual oriented. It might take another generation for this to happen. It might take 1,000 years. I don't know. It might take a century and a half. But that's my view on the good aliens and the bad aliens.
Okay. Brian, when you use the expression breaking open our minds, are you talking about breaking down the social attitudes that with the social conditioning that we
Yeah,
are
if you look
subject
at
to?
1850, the entire Western hemisphere and Western thinking was either Catholic or Protestant. You're either Catholic or Protestant, or you're weird. So since then, we've expanded beyond Catholic and Protestant and weird. So I think this is a good thing. I just did a video 3 hours ago with Dennis Wise in Britain. He thinks it's demonic. He's a Catholic. He says the Catholic Church has changed since 1945, and traditional Catholic, Brian, I think your ETs are demonic. That's what he believes.
Yeah. Well, um, a variety of understandings about it, and I guess it's healthy to have a variety of understandings at this stage. Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Welcome.
Okay, who else wants to speak about this? Howard, I've just noticed that you've taken yourself off mute. Do you want to speak?
Well, I guess I'm ready. I can only speak from my experience. First, let me say that I'm a retired hypnotherapist focusing on past life regression and spiritual regression. And I must also state right up front that I have not seen any UFOs or ETs in the physical realm, with my own eyes. So I can't say from my own experience that they exist. But as a result of my hypnotherapy practice, I not only developed a form of self-hypnosis that I taught to my clients, I formed a cadre of those who were willing to explore their spirituality, their consciousness, their higher self, or whatever you want to call it, the spiritual realms. And let me also preface this by saying the form of channeling that I developed for myself and for my clients is based on, or it consists of, three people: a director, the channel, and the source of the information, who may be physical or spiritual. The director remains fully conscious, able to ask questions and ask for clarification or further explanation or discussion if warranted. The channel is one of my clients who there's somebody.
I just muted them. It was D. Barlow. I just muted them.
Thank you. Okay, the channel is the person who I have trained to go into self-hypnosis, into an altered state of awareness, and make contact with spiritual beings, extraterrestrials, or whoever they choose to have as the focus of their conversation. And the third element in our channeling session is the source of the information. It could be an extraterrestrial being, could be an angel.
Closed down for a while.
Not everyone is muted.
I just muted Emma. That was Emma.
Okay. The source of the conversation that is being channeled, the information that is being produced, could be an angel, archangel, ascended master, extraterrestrial, could be grandma, anyone who is no longer physical. The purpose of I usually acted as the director of this channeling session. My purpose was to ask questions and ask for clarification or further discussion if warranted. The focus at the time, in 2016, I was focused on disclosure, the extraterrestrial presence that people are reporting. Who are they and why are they here? The conversations that we had with various races of extraterrestrials became the substance and the content of my 2016 book, The ETs Speak, Who We Are and Why We're Here. You can read it. It's available on Amazon.com as well as my other books. In my channeling sessions with many extraterrestrials, we were first introduced by my spirit guide to a being who identified himself as Ashtar. I asked, okay, Ashtar, what race are you? And he says, I am a universal consciousness that is in charge of or coordinating the activities of the UFOs that are being observed around Earth at this time. I, Ashtar, am a representative of what we call the Galactic Federation, which is a federation of star nations who have become, who are still physical, but who have raised their consciousness and technologies to a point where they are intergalactic. They can explore other worlds. They're spacefaring nations within this galaxy. And I asked, well, are there other galaxies beyond the Milky Way galaxy that are represented? And they said, well, basically, they have their own, each galaxy has their own galactic federation. Our nearest neighbored galaxy, the Andromedan galaxy, is also composed of very highly spiritually evolved beings who provide assistance as required to the Milky Way Galactic Federation. And says, okay, what's the purpose of all these nations? He says, well, we've evolved in consciousness to the point where we do not want any aggression or the lower energies, hate, anger, war, destruction, those kinds of energies. They exist on higher planes of consciousness, and we support the nations of one race support the other races by sharing resources, galactic resources. If one star nation has an abundance of something that is desired by others, well, then there's intergalactic commerce set up. It's very productive, very peaceful, and very organized, very well regulated. I asked, what is the composition of who are these beings that are purported to be in the UFOs that are surrounding Earth at this time? And Ashtar introduced us to various captains of starships from the Arcturian races, the Pleiadian races, Antarian races, the blue avian races, in addition to uh, other beings that don't have human form. He says there's many races, many nations that are operating at higher dimensions of consciousness and interaction, very well organized. Hmm. I wanted to find out more about the specific individuals. For instance, the commander of the Antarian starship. So I asked Ashtar if it was permissible, acceptable to have a conversation. And he said, of course, call him forth. I just called forth a representative of one of the starships from the Antarian nation. And we had a conversation. He said, why are you here? What are your intentions with humanity? And we had at least an hour discussion, in-depth discussion on where they came from, why they were here, what they are here to do, and the limits of what they are allowed to do. And in separate channeling sessions, I took a similar approach for the Arcturians, for the Pleiadians, etc. Also, we did interview representatives of the Zeta Reticulans, the Greys. I had a cadre of channels who are trained in self-hypnosis to the point where they could just, within 10 or 15 seconds, put themselves into a state of self-hypnosis that bypassed their ego and their conscious thinking mind and connected them with their soul energy, their spiritual self. And these conversations were very in-depth, but I always wanted to have at least two representatives of each star nation. And for each, let's say for the Arcturians, I would have two separate channels, separately channel conversations, and they were blinded to each other. So one did not know what information had been received from the first channel. And we did the same thing when we asked for a separate representative. So we had two channels, at least two separate channels, different channels, interviewing two different representatives from each of 6 different races, I believe, including the Zeta Reticulans. Those session transcripts, which were all recorded and archived in our spiritual discussion group archive, formed the basis of my book, The ETs Speak. These are verbatim transcripts from each of these extraterrestrial beings, who they are and why they're here, what are their purpose, what are their limits, and all. And the conversations we had with all extraterrestrial representatives that we were in contact with was nearly identical. They're here to help us, but only if we ask for help. They're here to assist us, but only if we ask for assistance. They have what The higher developed extraterrestrials have what is equivalent to Star Trek's Prime Directive, if you're a fan of Star Trek. Their, their Prime Directive goes something like this. The ETs will not interfere with humans' free will to do anything they wish, anything at all, except their humans are not allowed to use nuclear devices to destroy other humans. It did not say we can't play around with nuclear energy. And there's many peaceful uses for nuclear energy. But when that tool, which is a double-edged tool, when it's used for destruction of other humans, we will be prevented from letting that happen or choosing to make it happen. And we can see we have seen the results of their ability to shut down nuclear ICBM silos. We have testimony before Congress that ICBM silos were completely shut down while a UFO was hovering above. Now, and it was shut down for a period of time. The Air Force personnel that were manning the silos were they were panicked at what was happening because nothing worked. And then a couple of hours later, everything was returned to a completely normal operation. But many examples of that kind of ability have been observed by us. We have observed their ability to control us in the use of nuclear weapons. But otherwise, they say that they are not willing or will not interfere with our ability to do anything else at all. It's up to us. They're here to assist us in developing a spiritual consciousness that moves beyond aggression and warlike tendencies, especially for this is important for us to learn at this time because we are on the verge of becoming spacefaring. And they do not want us to export nuclear weapons, aggression, fear, and wars to other nations or star systems in this galaxy and other galaxies. They wish us to evolve to the point where we don't need to defeat others, or we lose our aggression towards others and turn toward cooperation with others. We can become a much richer and more prolific race by joining with the abilities and talents and resources of other peaceful nations, as star nations as well. So my answer is, are they here to help us or exploit us is obvious. They're here to help us. That's their mission for coming here. But they're restraining themselves from interfering with our own activities until we ask for their assistance. They have said, all these star nations and the Galactic Federation representatives themselves have said that we can work with you publicly, openly, in the physical, whenever you want. But there's 4 conditions that you humans must make before we will do that. These conditions are, number 1, that greater than 50% of humanity must ask for our assistance. They have separately said that condition has already been met. The second condition is that greater than 50% of humanity as a whole must move from a consciousness of service to self, must move to a consciousness of service to others. They say we are improving, we're getting close, but we still have a ways to go on that. The third condition they have for open disclosure, if you want to call it that, is that humans must not harm extraterrestrials when they make themselves publicly known to us. And they say, we're okay on that one because it doesn't matter what you do. We can protect ourselves if required. The fourth condition is that when disclosure occurs, that is, for instance, one form of disclosure might be global public uncloaking of the ships in our atmosphere. The fourth condition is that humans must not harm other humans. They say that point we have a lot of problems with it, very problematic, because we see basically humans are way too aggressive and warlike, and there will be lots of life if we just catastrophically disclose ourselves publicly, globally, in an instant. So that's probably not the way public disclosure will happen. So are they here to exploit us? No. At least the ones around our planet at this time are not here to exploit us. They're here to assist us and help us grow spiritually so that we can be offered an invitation to join the Galactic Federation as the human race. But that won't happen until we're a non-aggressive. We have to grow up. Now, having said all that, my experience has been as the director of these channeling sessions and transcribing this information that's provided through the channels from the ETs. The channels have checked the validity, the veracity of what they transmitted. Now, these channels were not unconscious. They were conscious, but not thinking. In other words, the ego had been bypassed through this hypnotic process. So is all this information valid? Well, I tried to make it seem like it was as valid as it could be by having two separate channels interview two separate representatives of each of these nations and blinded to each other so that no one knew what the other had said. And all the conversations dovetailed exactly. They were saying the same thing. So that's not to say that there's other bad ETs out there. I've heard, don't know for a fact, but I've heard that there's some kind of an electronic blanket around Earth that keeps unevolved extraterrestrials at this time from approaching Earth. There's some kind of a barrier or blanket that prevents the lower non-evolved extraterrestrials from visiting Earth at this time. So if we wished, we could connect telepathically or hypnotically with anyone we wished. We could connect with somebody that was from, say, a reptilian race or some. Incidentally, I've heard also from my spiritual sources that there are good reptilians and bad reptilians, just like there's good humans and bad humans. Not all reptilians are bad. In fact, they are extremely proficient healers, as well as the um, the mantis beings are extremely proficient healers, and there are many ships. In fact, one of my uh, channels was had related in a future progression, not a regression, in a future progression that she was a member of a healing team on one of the Pleiadian ships that visited other worlds throughout the Milky Way galaxy, offering healing to whoever needed it. And these healing teams were composed of Antarians. They were composed of blue avians and Arcturians and mantis beings and other beings that more closely resembled what we would call an octopus. But they all coexisted peacefully on the same mission to provide healing and help and aid and support. So I guess it really boils down to who do you want to talk with? We are creators. We are creator souls. Every soul, now let me back up. Every human being on earth has an incarnated soul. That soul is eternal and has the ability to incarnate in humans, obviously. A soul also has the ability to incarnate into a Pleiadian or an Arcturian or a reptilian. Why do souls do that? Well, it's to gain information and experience about what they cannot experience in the spiritual world as pure consciousness, as a soul. They cannot experience taste. They cannot experience touch. They cannot experience audible sound because in the spiritual world, physicality doesn't exist. There's no time, no space in that spiritual world. So in order to learn and grow through their own experience, they must also experience physical beings, physical worlds through the incarnation process. And it's through hypnotic regression, when you connect with the soul energy, that we can connect with the true history of the soul, not the person, but the soul, all the experiences that the soul has had. I prefer to go on the route that leads upward toward higher consciousness, not one of aggression or a descending pathway, energetically descending, of war and aggression, confrontation. I much prefer cooperation instead of confrontation. So,
I would thank you. There's a question come up in the chat, and it might be good to hear your view on it. Is it
please,
safe to channel?
is it safe to channel?
Yeah,
Yes, it is if you know how to do it right.
yeah.
One of the first books that I wrote on after I became a certified hypnotherapist, well, after my healing books, I was an energy healer. Then in 2005, I was trained with the Michael Newton Institute, Life Between Lives, introduced to the spiritual world. So is it safe to channel? Yes, if you do it correctly. You have to know how to make yourself available to the higher dimensional energies and prevent the lower dimensional energies. Now, I'm not talking third, fourth, or second dimension, third dimension, physical dimensions. In the spiritual world, there are no dimensions except of consciousness. Archangel Michael has explained to us that as we evolve or ascend in consciousness, we expand our level of awareness into higher dimensions of consciousness. Let me take just a second and define where we are as a human race. The levels of consciousness defined by Archangel Michael are: the first level is a static physical being, like a stone, a rock, a dirt. The second dimension of consciousness is where the plant kingdom comes in, uses that soil to grow and thrive and reproduce, growth and reproduction. The third dimension, the animal kingdom, uses the plants and trees as the source of their own existence by eating the plants. They're characterized by reproduction, growth, and movement. Animals can move around where plants and trees don't usually move. The fourth dimension of consciousness is when an animal being becomes sentient, that is, aware of its own existence, then they're in a fourth dimension of consciousness. We are in that fourth dimension of consciousness right now, but we're on the verge of evolving into a different human form, still a physical form, just as you and I look like to each other today, but of a higher consciousness. And this is the level of unity consciousness, a fifth dimension, where we move beyond service to self into service to others, a helpful, cooperative symbiology of all, including the lower dimensions of consciousness. So he said also, we will continue to raise or use a physical form of exploration of the physical realm. We will continue to use a human form up through the dimensions of consciousness, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. He hasn't explained to us what the characteristics of the 6th or higher dimensions are, but after we learn through our physical experience and move beyond the 12th dimension of consciousness, we've learned all the lessons, the information, the knowledge, and the wisdom that physicality can teach us. And our consciousness returns to a purely spiritual form that we began with before incarnation. So we are all spirit beings. One of the powers, abilities, characteristics of powerful spiritual beings is that they're very creative. So we see it every day. We can create what we think. Somebody says, what you think, you create.
Thank you, Howard. There's a couple of hands gone up for questions. Sure. Sarah's had her hand up for a little while. Sarah, do you want to speak? You're on mute at the moment.
Yeah, hi. So I have a couple questions. How do you repel lower energy vibrations then?
Very simple. By surrounding yourself with light. In the light,
Like
in
visually or like channeling the light energy?
well, you got to remember, in the light there can be no darkness.
Mhm.
They're just antipodal. So when you focus on higher levels of consciousness, helpfulness, openness, love, you can't love and hate at the same time. When there's love, there can be no hate. So you can energetically surround yourself by meditating, surround yourself with loving energies, or you can purposely decide today, I want to feel better. I want to do good. I don't want to slip and slide, move backwards. I want to keep advancing. So it's a choice. There's a lot of tools to help you make that choice. And once you make that choice on the soul level, it happens.
Mhm.
But the tools that I've used are meditation and energy work. Energy work can teach you a lot through direct contact and physical experience that something higher else is going on.
That makes sense. So you're saying that some of the steps that the human race has to do in order to evolve so that like ETs and stuff are helping us more so. And one of the things is not harming another human and how humans have a hard time evolving past that. Is it going to get to a point where they remove those that cannot move past ego and are stuck in that state of mind to a different plane of existence? Or are they
Well,
just waiting for all of us to evolve at the same time?
well, we have free will. We can choose to ascend or not ascend. That's the beauty of it. We are in the driver's seat. Ascension is not something that is done to us. It is done by us. We have to choose what we want to focus on, which path we want to take, selfishness or helpfulness. It's really that simple. That's one of the elephants in the room. It's been so simple that nobody has really, well, it's hard for everybody to believe that. Now, that's not to
Yeah.
say that uh, we're all going to ascend at some big flash of light. It doesn't happen that way. It's up to each person whether they choose to ascend.
Yeah. And are the grays always connected to, you said, the mantis?
No, I think Brian said that they were connected to the mantis or representatives of.
Are they
They're,
always connected to that race?
all I can speak from is my experience with the grays. That
Yeah.
is both the small grays and the large grays, or what's called the tall grays. Now, let me tell you about what the grays are doing, have done, and why, as our channels have provided this information to us. The grays are composed of these two races who have evolved separately on two different planets in the Zeta Reticuli system. The grays have evolved technologically and spiritually to the point where they are a spacefaring nation. The small grays, the tall grays' cousins, have evolved up to the point of I, I, I can't say that they're service to self. They've chosen to be strictly third dimensional in their approach to life. They are third dimensional beings, but they're very technologically advanced, but they prefer not to. In fact, they demand that they not think about or even consider anything spiritual or above what they can see and examine physically. So they are the pure scientists with absolutely no spiritual knowledge. They're very technologically advanced, but they're not spacefaring. The white grays, the tall grays, carry the small grays around on their spaceships as they visit other planets. The tall grays do not agree with everything that the small grays do, but they give them free will to learn in their own time to evolve and ascend. The small grays have witnessed the evolution of technology on Earth, and to the point where they foresee or predict that humanity will eventually and very soon destroy the entire planet and all life on it through a nuclear explosion or series of explosions and the destruction of all life on Earth.
So are they going to remove all nuclear kind of bombs and stuff, whatever?
The mission they have chosen for their life is to visit worlds that they come to and get examples of DNA from each of the species, animal, plant, and uh, uh, anything alive. They have an archive of DNA that they experiment with by combining DNA from different species to form hybrids that
Yeah.
could possibly exist on another planet where they could replant humanity's DNA on, or a human hybrid on another planet, because Earth is soon going to be destroyed. That's their focus. They've decided that Earth is going to destroy itself, but humanity is worth saving. So their process is to develop hybrids that are suitable physically, atmospherically, chemically, that life can be sustained. Human life can be sustained on another planet. So
Okay.
in
Thanks.
to, in my mind, the small grays are very misunderstood. I don't have any empathy for them, but I understand where they're coming from and why they've done what they're doing. Now, I've also heard some reports that they are no longer continuing their um, abduction and surgical experiments to withdraw sperm and eggs aboard the spacecraft. They're not doing that anymore unless the humans allow it and have agreed to it. So
Hmm.
that
Okay.
that's I hope that
Okay, thank you.
addresses your question, Sarah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Howard. Brian's had his hand up for a while as well.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. I just first want to mention if you see my cat go into the fireplace, let me know because he's already black. Sometimes he gets covers it. But I just want to ask Howard and comment on Susie Hansen has stated in her videos that the grays have told her that there's an interloper species of gray. So I guess that's kind of a blanket statement which supports just about everything you said. That in my view, there's at least one negative species of gray which could explain that. So I probably agree with maybe 80% of everything you said. To quote the Italian economist in 1895, Alfredo Pareto, coined the Pareto principle. He says 80% of the value of of what you do is in 20% of your activities. Like if you're in sales, 80% of your income comes from 20% of your clients. So yeah, I agree with probably 80%. But one question, like you're talking about, we need 50% of the world to have more service to others rather than self. Question I've struggled with since 2012, since I became more aware of these things, is I think the reptilians working out through the bankers in the city of London have controlled all major wars since the time of Napoleon. There's considerable, overwhelming evidence for this on the internet that these bankers have been behind all major wars for 2 centuries, plus propaganda. For instance, currently within one family, my family, there's a war in Ukraine right now. My elder brother Peter in the Vancouver area thinks Putin's totally corrupt. The Russians are corrupt. He's donated thousands of dollars to Ukraine. My other middle brother in North Carolina is on the side of the Russians. He says in 2014, the Americans pulled off coup d'etat with Gloria Nuland to change the Ukrainian government, which is a democratic government, to be pro-West. So this is America and the West's fault. And I feel I take a higher view. I think both Zelensky and Putin are colleagues working together for the bankers of the city of London. They're just doing the job. Because one thing that the reptilians want is a lot of blood and fear and energy. So there's a lot of, they want sustained wars like Vietnam. We've had a 3.5-year war. Like the Russia could have just overtaken Ukraine in 3 months. But no, they deliberately want sustained wars to kill a lot of people, create a lot of fear, because reptilians, according to David Icke, feed off this energy. So my question for you, which I've struggled with for 13 years, is how do we achieve more peace and love and 50% working from serve to self? If the very media television we're watching is telling us to hate the Russians and be depressed and be angry, that they have the Democrats and the Republicans in the States angry at each other. This is controlled by the city of London. So how can you get 50% of human beings to be more positive under those conditions?
Love.
Shall I give it some kind of
Okay,
response?
how do you get love with a television set screaming at you every day and the internet telling you to hate Putin?
Turn off the television set.
How do you get 50% of the world's population to turn off the television set, Howard?
That's up to them. I'm not going to tell them to turn it on or turn it off.
May I say something?
Yes.
Yeah.
We all know that humans are easily brainwashed, right?
Yep.
This is,
Those in charge are brainwashing everybody to stay stuck in a certain mindset. So in reality, the ETs or the higher beings of light need to help us evolve more in that sense, because those that are asleep are stuck in the brainwashing mindset and they need to be woken up. And in order to be woken up, the television needs to be turned off, but they're so brainwashed into it, they can't. So, like, I would like more help from the ET and the higher beings, and I'm sure a lot more other people would like the same. But the evil beings, whoever they may be, are keeping us stuck in that mindset. So then, how can we really be blamed for being children and mindless when we're being taught to be children and mindless?
Well, a couple of ways. One the slow way, one the immediate way. The slow way is to take a good look at yourself and figure out what you want. What do I want and how do I want that? What do I want to do with my life? What do I want to affect in my life and how am I going to go about it? One light in the darkness is enough to dispel the darkness, however dark it is. And we're told over and over again, it's very simple. Let your own light shine. Now, that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And if there's other people around that continue to watch Fox News and Newsmax and all that, so be it. I'm not going to interfere with their free will. but I'm not going to join them.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to start seeing more and more people turning off their TV.
I hope so.
Okay. Can I just add, if there's an energetic changes happening throughout the universe, and those energies are a higher vibration, and they're influencing what's happening on planet Earth, and they're influencing humanity in our thoughts and our feelings, that if we are able to uh, open ourselves up to higher vibrations, to more loving vibrations, if we are able to let go of old, what's the word, old attitudes that may be uh, aggressive or more negative or fear-based, there's a natural kind of change that can occur for humanity. I hear what you're saying, Sarah, in that, or Brian. I think it was mainly about all this stuff on the TV and how it might affect us. Yeah, we can turn it off. Yeah, there may be a natural phenomena occurring in the background. More people getting interested in spiritual matters, younger people becoming interested in spiritual matters. And it may well be that even though there is such a lot of aggressive talk on news bulletins and in international relationships and the relationships, personal relationships, there may well be an undercurrent that's growing in force, that's reminding people that it doesn't have to be like that. You know,
Correct.
we can enjoy being who we are. We can enjoy connecting with other people. Uh, so yeah, I just wanted to add that bit as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And to that end, on in my website, I've offered several tools that will help us tune into who we really are, that inner light within, and let yourself shine out. And those vibrations, whether it's coming externally or from within you, we're responsive. We're sensitive to vibrations and energies. One person can light up the room or darken the room, depending on their energies. Perhaps you've witnessed this or felt this. Come into a room and somebody comes in and you suddenly just feel the heaviness or something like that. Or another one comes in and you're energized. We affect each other's through our own human energy field. And energy workers know this for a fact through their own experience and working with their clients. I can affect how another person's energy field works by introducing higher energies to it through Reiki or reconnective healing or healing touch or whatever. There's 1,000 or maybe 1,000,000 different healing techniques, energy-based healing techniques that can rejuvenate, reorient, restructure your own energy field, at least for a time until you start thinking. If ego takes over, it undoes everything that you've tried to set up for yourself than before. So it's up to us.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Howard. Um, if there's any of that information on your website, or you're just saying that the people are able
Um,
to access or share,
yeah,
is
if uh, I've shared my email, but my website is simply my name, It's howardbeatty.com.
Yeah.
HOWARDBATIE. Although the website is not maintained, I've loaded it up with a lot of stuff that I've kept from my before I retired. The meditations include the inner light consciousness meditation, the violet flame meditation. Powerful for rejuvenating yourself. And some of the YouTube videos that I've created, such as Transcalar Healing, how to bring healing energy to yourself, to others, and to Gaia. Not just from within yourself, but with the assistance of your spiritual soul, your guides and spirit. Whenever I do a healing session, I have an entourage of spiritual beings that assist me. I never work in isolation. We just don't. We can't. We're just not built, energetically built to work in isolation. We react to others' energies. So, anyway.
Thank you, Howard. Brian, you still have your hand up. If there's anything further you wanted to say on this, or...
Yeah. I want to suggest, Howard, we could book a meeting with you, like 3 weeks into the future or more, because you don't have to get on Meetup or be a member at all. Like, I can book it on Meetup, write your bio, your picture, and just send you the Zoom link, and we could do a meetup. Because I think we'd benefit from someone who's done as much research and work as you have over the years. You're an older person with lots of experience and advice, so it'd be great to. Or I can do one-on-one videos as well. But Meetup is fun because you get questions like this. But I can easily arrange it with a few strokes of the keyboard.
All right. You have my email.
Yeah, I'll send an email. Good.
Okay. Who else wants to speak about this?
How about HB Dawa? He's my main assistant, actually, in our Vancouver UFO meetup, other than our co-organizer, Nancy Liu, Dr. Nancy Liu. Dr. HB Dawa's PhD from Simon Fraser University. He published a blog about me on the largest Chinese diaspora website in the world, and we got something like 20,000 hits. So thanks, HB.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Regarding if aliens are there to help us or explode us, I've been reading the Falcon Lake incident.
He lives in Surrey, about 20 miles from me, about a 30-minute drive on the SkyTrain. It's like our upground subway.
So Falcon Lake incident. I just finished reading this book. I based on everything I've been reading. I do agree that aliens, the extraterrestrial beings, are not there to either help us or exploit us. I think they just don't care. They don't want contact with humans.
Why would they?
Stefan Michalak approached the craft, and he claimed he heard two men talking, and he said it was two men, two male voices, and they were talking. He didn't know if it was English or any other European languages. He called out in English, Polish, Russian, German, Italian, and they just closed the door. So I checked with AI analyzes that the aliens just didn't want contact with humans. And then Michalak approached unexpectedly. And the aliens feared of contamination or hostility, and they were never interested in him in the first place. Or Michalak's Michalak's experience could have been caused by psychological or physical condition. If that were true, then there were no aliens making a decision to avoid him. Interestingly, Michalak heard two voices, and he said two male voices, talking in a language he couldn't identify. So he called out in multiple languages, English, German, Polish, Russian, and there was no response. And all of a sudden, they stopped talking, and they closed the door. So I assumed they were not interested in making contacts with humans. But like I said, I met this psychic in Beijing. She claims to channel this being, but her story is always changing. In the beginning, she said she was channeling a snake spirit, and in recent years, she said the being she's been channeling is actually a Buddha that saved the life of Chinese Emperor Qianlong Emperor. And this spirit, this being, ordered her to build a temple for him. And that's the statue of this being in her temple. I think these beings, they're not there to help us, but he's helping this lady, because he's helping this lady with her personal gain. She's been filthy rich.
Okay.
Can she build me a temple, Theravada temple?
I don't think these beings are helping all of us, because everyone has their own karma where I have to be responsible for myself. So nobody can help us. It's just like, it reminds me of Saint Bernadette.
I'm actually Theravada Buddhist. He's talking about Mahayana Buddhism.
Saint Bernadette, the Virgin Mary says, even Virgin Mary couldn't help her. She died young. She died at 35. And Virgin Mary said, I cannot guarantee happiness in this life, but next life.
Okay.
Bernadette.
So where I set the question of are they here to assist us or exploit us, I could have also said or ignore us.
I don't think they want to help us. I don't think they want to have contact.
So if they don't want to help us or they don't want to exploit us.
And this book, this alien interview,
what are they doing here in the first
actually
place?
read the digital version first. Then I decided,
hang on, HB, don't want to interrupt our host. Or Dave is talking. Don't interrupt the host. Dave's a 71-year-old guy. He got to go slow here. Go ahead, Dave.
Thank you. HB, I'm just interested to what you think about, if they're not here to assist us or to exploit us, why are they here at all?
I think they've been doing some experiments. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, just like the two aliens that landed in
for their own purposes, for their own good, or for our good.
Falcon Lake incident. I think they were watching human beings. I do agree that they're concerned about nuclear weapons, because the crash at New Mexico, Roswell, New Mexico, that happened just a couple of years after they dropped a little boy in the two Japanese cities. I think they're concerned about.
Sure. Well, Sarah has a hand up. I'm not sure if she wants to ask you a question, HB, or one of us. Sarah, is there something you wanted to ask?
Yeah, it wasn't really asking. It was more of just my thoughts on the subject. Just like humans, there's good humans and bad humans. So obviously it's the same for other beings in the universe or whatever you want to call it. But from my experience with a lot of spiritual beings, it always kind of felt like I was being developed or to help me grow and evolve from some of my experiences that I've had. Obviously, they do experiments on humans. but it's not always bad and it's not always good. It's just for probably evolution and understanding. But yeah, just from some of my experiences spiritually, it felt like I was being helped to develop and grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Similar with me, I have to say, in my encounters with them, that the impression I had was that they were mainly interested in me being able to develop, evolve. Thank you. Thank you. Jan, you've been sitting there quietly all this time. Can I invite you to say what you think?
You can, but just be mindful that there may be some loud noises. It's just stopped for a breather. They must be
Oh,
switching
you've got the
over.
fringe going on in the background.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and has some nice renditions of songs in the background.
Probably, the mic doesn't pick that up. I had a leaf blower outside the window. I could hardly hear. My guests never heard a
Okay.
thing.
Oh, marvelous, marvelous. Well, we'll see. My thoughts were about karma and how we're supposed to evolve through our lives, and we're here for learning. So I wonder how they've evolved in the other nations out with the galactic nations and how they've evolved, and their learning curve is similar to our learning curve. What's that?
My publisher just released my book called The Theravada Buddhist Exploration Meditation Karma Reverse. So I've got a right to speak on this. I've been teaching since 1996 on Theravada view of karma specifically. Yeah.
Okay.
My publisher's in India, Motilal Banarsi's publisher. This is me when I was good looking. I published it a while ago,
Okay.
2010.
Okay. And I've lost my train of thought now.
Good looking guys just throw women off. They just can't think, just throws them off.
Absolutely, you've just thrown me off my train of thought. And the other thing Sarah mentioned, Sarah mentioned earlier, because I know when we sit in group, I feel as though sometimes the energy is always lovely when it's coming through, and the beings that are coming through, and sometimes there's almost an energy if you can feel you're being worked on, you're being upgraded by the beings that are present. So I would agree with Sarah who brought that in. And I think that's for our greater good. But I just wonder about our evolution, how we evolve. I've never known the world to be at peace. And I wonder, although we hear about the galactic federations and those ones that want to stay in the third level, they don't want to go up to the other levels. They're choosing to stay there. And they're obviously their free will can't be impinged upon, from what I gather. So where am I going with this now? We're going to be in a constant state of evolution on all levels.
It occurs to me, haven't we always been in a constant state of evolution?
Yeah, so when does it stop? When does the wheel? It's like a hamster's wheel. It's going round and round. And a lot of the stuff we talk about, the energy moving up to the different levels, the archangels and the beings from the other planets, are things that constantly come in. And it's almost as though the energy is flying around, but it's hard. It's visceral. It's hard to pull in. When do we ever get there? What is the actual pathway that we're on? It almost seems like a visceral path. There's an energetic path. We can sense it and we can feel it. We're aware of it. But it's almost, sometimes it feels as though, I don't know if no man's land is the right word for it, or feeling quite.
Does the pathway have a destination?
Possibly, yes. Does it have does it have a destination, or is it just that destination is because it's a state of being, that's a destination, and because it's a visceral thing, not a concrete thing, it's hard to. Oh, sorry. My Chinese. It's hard to feel grounded in it.
Okay, yeah. I suppose I tend to think it's, we're always on a journey in whatever form we're in. There's a couple of people got their hands up. Howard, I
And
think you've had your hand
I,
up longer.
I was just going to say also the past lives that we've traveled through our Akashic records because we've been going about for a long time. And I feel as though
Yeah,
we're infants because when we hear about the life span of some of the beings in the galactic era, they live for many, many, many years. So in essence, we are just like children here.
yeah. I think that's a point worth making. Thank you.
There you go. I'm just going to
Yeah.
mute myself because I have a feeling I have a rendition of song coming from the background.
Oh,
Okay.
well, I'll just say Jan lives in Edinburgh, and every August there's the Edinburgh Fringe where you have all sorts of
Yes.
entertainers, and from what I understand, they're pretty much right outside her door.
They are, and they
Oh,
change.
yes.
They have a 20-minute or 30-minute session, then the next one comes on. Then you have impromptu people who are giving little excerpts from their shows and handing out. So there's competitions of voices.
But
So
I doubt we'll hear anything on the mic. Probably not a peep on the mic, or maybe a slight peep. You're the one that hears it, not us.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Thank you for
Okay,
the, thank you for
Howard,
that.
you wanted to say something for a little while?
Yes, yes. You started the conversation off about karma, but then you moved to Edinburgh and the Fringe, and I've got to say, I love the Fringe. My wife and I have been there 2 times. We love it. And of course, we had to attend the real Scottish Highland Games too. Anyway,
Well, Jan's in a place at the moment where she's cursing all the tourists going there, and I shall be a tourist there in a few
I have
days.
well,
tourist
great.
fatigue. I have tourist fatigue. I live about 3 minutes from Edinburgh Castle.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
So I'm just round on the old town, the High Street,
Oh, you're
and down
bringing
Coburn
back
Street.
memories. You-
Yes. So I'm
Okay.
right in the heart of it.
If I could
Okay.
address
Mm,
your question about
yeah.
karma,
Yeah.
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 my spirit guide has told me that among the laws or rules for this beyond this universe, but for
Mm,
creation, is that Creator gave us free will to do anything we wished
mm.
without judgment. The only condition is that we must experience whatever we create.
Mm,
And if we create harm in this physical world while we're
mhm,
incarnated, according to the universal law, we must experience what we have created.
mhm,
So it boomerangs back to give us a chance to make a different choice the next time we're faced with that opportunity to cause harm or help.
Okay, could I just interject there for a second? So I'm thinking of the soul group, and what if you've agreed to come back and help someone else learn, and
Yes,
you're yeah. So there's kind
absolutely.
of reciprocal karma going on, or you've agreed with the soul group that you will be the protagonist, or you'll be the one that
Exactly. Or
mm,
the helper.
or the helper. Yeah,
Help us to
yeah,
learn a lesson. I
yeah.
know my wife and
Hmm.
my daughter
Mm,
are
yeah.
both part of my soul group.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yes. They
Mm,
we've been together in many
mm,
incarnations. And
yes. Yeah.
as and we will again if
Mm,
we so agree,
hmm.
yeah, make that contract. So
Yeah.
thanks
Yes.
thanks for the opportunity to address karma.
Yes, it's quite complex. There's a lot of complexities within it. But I'm also intrigued by the soul group and how there's quite a few people that I've met in my soul group that are all across the world.
Yes.
And I wonder sometimes why we can never be in the same place. It's a lady in Brazil who I've met, who I work with.
Well,
And
we're all
yeah,
connected in
mm,
this
yeah,
quantum reality that we call
mm,
energy.
yes,
Energetically, we are all connected, and
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
space and distance don't mean anything.
mm-hmm,
In fact, when we're channeling, how does a spirit communicate
Mm.
with us,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's in channeling or direct to our what we hear in our mind.
Mm-hmm.
We've asked that question. How do spirits communicate when they don't have a body
Mm-hmm.
in the spirit world? We don't use words. They don't have a mouth to speak. They don't have
Yes.
ears to hear.
Mm.
It's all energy. It's
Yeah.
telepathic.
It's telepathic. Yeah.
It's beyond telepathic. It's
Mm-hmm.
energetic exchange where you get not only the meaning, but the flavor and the taste and the background and the
Mm-hmm.
nuances all in one packet of
Yes, you get the
information.
whole. Yeah, you get the
Yeah.
whole. Yes, yes. But sometimes living in this physical existence, it would be nice. I do believe we're spiritual beings having a
That's
physical experience.
And that's part of our challenge, to learn and grow, to develop these spiritual abilities
Yeah.
while still physical.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Telepathy is one of the abilities that humans have innately on the fifth and higher dimensions of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you both. I'm noticing Emma hasn't had a chance to speak yet, although
I want to address
you've-
karma, though. She's on the question of karma, right?
Yeah.
yeah. Can I just ask Emma if she'd like to speak?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
To just, I'll come back to you, Brian.
Oh.
I think she's the one person that hasn't had a chance to speak as yet. If she's still there, but if not, I'll just invite you to go ahead with Brian.
No, I'm just listening. I'm good. Thank you.
You're good. Okay. All right then, Emma. Thank you. Sorry, Brian. What is it you wanted to say?
Well, Jan was asking about karma, and
Yeah.
I was a Buddhist monk in Thailand, 1996 is my photo here.
Ah.
So I've been authorized since 1996 to teach Theravada Buddhism, specifically karma. I've taught 2,000 classes in the Lower Mainland. It's been my job for 20 years. I published this book in 2010, and last year my publisher took it up. It's specifically called the Theravada Buddhist Exploration of Meditation Karma. So I'm authorized from a Theravada school to talk about karma, and we encompass about 100 million people in Thailand, Burma, Sri Lanka, Laos, and Cambodia with the Southern School of Buddhism. And we don't agree with Tibetan Buddhism or Mahayana on things like karma. We have different views. To answer your specific question about karma and peace, the Buddha specifically said there will never be world peace. There never was. However, he describes ages of where things come together. Everybody lives within the 5 precepts. So you have a golden age of long lifespans of up to 84,000 years. And then there's a period of degeneration where no one has the thought of doing good. Lifespans are about 10 years. So the Buddha has a cosmology about 10 million years for humans on Earth. And as far as the Big Bang goes, the Buddha said, no beginning of the universe can be discerned. So it's unknown, but basically from Buddhist view, there's no concept of a beginning of the universe, no concept of the end of the universe. So the way you kind of get out of the universe, once you attain full and complete enlightenment, attain nirvana, then you leave. So you don't have to experience all of the results of your negative karma, according to Buddha. You can get enlightened without having to experience all of your karma. So that's kind of a big sort of thumbnail of Buddhism. Now, the Buddha never taught anything about the Akashic records. As far as you know, this was invented by Madame Blavatsky. She died in 1880.
Yeah.
So she made it, there's no Buddhist concept of the Akashic records. However, it may be true. There may be a record of everything that has happened before. But there's only 2 things you have to basically have a conviction about in order to be a Theravada Buddhist, and that's rebirth and karma. That's all you have to believe. You don't have to be a good person. You don't have to meditate, but you have to have a belief. Without rebirth and karma, Buddhism is completely ridiculous. The idea that you could die at birth, at death, and you're just annihilated from existence, the Buddha called this a pernicious wrong view. So the Buddha insisted that your wholesome actions will come back to you in future lifetimes. Your unwholesome actions will come back to you in future lifetimes. So you should be concerned for your own good to do virtuous deeds. You know, that's why I dwell a lot on karma. I mean, you don't have to go to all these meditation retreats and follow your breath and do Vipassana. Karma and rebirth is the central worldview of Theravada Buddhism, and it's in harmony with the aliens and it's in harmony with the Buddha. That's why in this thumbnail I have yes, if any other
right, okay.
questions in karma, I'm willing to do an hour-long video with you, just karma and rebirth, if you like.
Yeah,
Okay.
interesting. Yeah.
You must experience what you create.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we've been going on for an hour and 45 minutes now. I kind of sense we'll be coming towards an end. So I'm just going to go around and invite people to speak up about anything further in this field that they'd like to say. How about you, Jan? Was there anything further you wanted to say about this?
I just as you're saying that, channeling comes into my mind, but I don't know why.
Okay.
Other than that, no.
All
No.
right.
Thank you.
I'll just ask, Emma's already responded to that. Sarah, is there anything further you wish to say?
I'm just kind of curious about psychic development and past lives. So, if you are more inclined to have psychic experiences, is it due to developing it in a past life?
From my experience, no, not particularly. As souls, we incarnate into our lives, and sometimes we pick particular lives where we may be more psychic, but we might pick particular lives where we wish to address other issues where psychic abilities aren't that relevant. You could say, I think there is something worth saying in that as we evolve, we become more psychic. And so I often encourage people to exercise it, play with it in a responsible kind of way, rather than just deny it or let it pass by. Yeah, so there are some psychic development courses online and so on that I'm sure you could pick out and work with your own intuition and what feels right for you. And that working with your own intuition is actually a very worthwhile part of it.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Okay, so who else is there now? So HB, is there anything further you wanted to bring up, HB? Okay. And Brian and Howard, are you anything further that you wish to say? Anything that's needs to be
I
said
could
that hasn't
mention,
yet been said?
yeah, I could mention outside of Buddhism, there's a Canadian psychiatrist, Dr. Ian Stevenson, was at the University of Virginia for 40 years, 47 years. He perhaps has the best scientific evidence for past lives and future lives. And he studied 3,000 cases of little kids that had a lot of information about the previous lives. Often there were kids who lived in the village who could identify, a family, their former wife, the names, a lot of evidence. But his evidence indicates people tend to take rebirth about 50 miles from where they died in the last lifetime. So if you're on a trip to the Congo and you slip on a banana peel and die, you can likely take rebirth in the Congo, according to his evidence. So I highly recommend Googling Dr. Ian Stevens. There's like 2 videos of him in 47 years. They didn't do videos. He died in 2007, but hands down, best scientific evidence for past lives.
It's continued by a guy called Jim Tucker, now.
Yeah, I've been in
But,
touch with Jim Kutcher. I had a case in 2014 in one of my retreats of
Yeah.
a woman who her dad died and took rebirth as her son.
I think it's Department of Personality Studies, or I think it is something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Perceptual
yeah, Jim
studies, perceptual
Yeah.
studies, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
we
Jim
were there.
Tucker's a good professor. He's carrying it on, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the scientific evidence for it.
And I found out about it from the Buddhist monks. The Buddhist monks say, hey, it's not us. Look, this is science. So Ajahn Sona, my main teacher for
Oh, yeah,
25
yeah,
years,
okay,
he's got
yeah.
like 3 feet of books of Ian Stevenson in his monastery, 3 feet thick of books, because that's what Buddhists want. We want scientific validation for our religious beliefs.
I see. Okay, then. I think we're drawing towards an end now.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you all. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been recorded. We'll probably, I'm sure we will put it out on the on YouTube. And thank you all. It's been interesting, been worthwhile. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, David.
Thank you. Bye-bye. I might, Jan's just gone. I just about to say I might see you in Edinburgh. I'll be one of those noisy people outside a front door.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, thanks everybody. I'll shut it down now.